Hey everybody, welcome back for another memory keeping plan with me. So this is for the week of May 5th through the 11th, and I mixed together leftovers from 3 different kits this week. So I have Wildflower from Cinderella Paper, which has a lot of like bold, berry, jewel tone type colors to it. I pulled in some leftovers from Marry Me by Cinderella Paper, which is very neutral. I mostly just used some gray and a couple of green boxes from these leftovers. And then I had some leftovers from Spring Cottage by Caress Press. And mostly what I pulled in from there were like the date covers and then anything that had a grass pattern on it because I thought that matched with the leftovers from the 2 other kits. And then I had this random happy birthday full box freebie from Cinderella Paper, and so I decided to use that. There's a airplane. Let me know if you can hear the airplane that just loudly passed over and so rudely interrupted my train of thought. Yeah, so I just had that random happy birthday box. My birthday wasn't until the next week in the calendar, but this was the week that we celebrated it. That was when we had time to celebrate it. So I pulled that in. Did it match? Great. No, I'm not as crazy about how this week turned out as the one before this, where I also pulled in multiple leftovers, but the difference was the week before I used a lot of neutrals, so I think that helped things be a bit more cohesive. I don't hate how this turned out, but you'll have to let me know if you like this week or not. I need a little bit of encouragement in that department. I also had planned to pull in 2 of the fashion girls from the Marry Me kit, but then I realized the days that I didn't want to put full boxes on were the ones where I could have put an extra fashion girl so that they weren't like next to each other. You know what I mean? So I decided to only use one of these bride boxes. And I decided to pull all of these together if you missed my lineup from May because it looks like these are the same artist. So I was like, I feel like they can match together, or at least not match, but coordinate. I'm all about coordinating, not matching necessarily. I think coordinating can help things look a little bit more dynamic instead of just like being a perfect matchy matchy. That's kind of how I am with clothes as well, and also with like coordinating group photo situations. Although, even for my wedding, I was like, other than the bridesmaids, I didn't tell anybody what to wear. So, and it all turned out fine. So, yeah. I am just trying to figure out my full box situation. I also had this like sparkly gold freebie from Caress Press that had some cute like woodland elements to it. So I decided to put those on a couple of the boxes. And then I'm going to pull in the date covers, and those are from the Caress Press kit, and the glitter headers from the Wildflower kit, and eventually some washi from Dollar Tree in this green pattern, and the weekend banner from the Wildflower kit. So really it was mostly using leftovers from Wildflower, which I believe is still for sale at Cinderella Paper. If it's not for sale as a printed kit, it's definitely question mark for sale as a printable. I don't do a whole lot of printables just because I have to hand cut my stickers. So, or at least currently I do. I've thought about getting a silhouette, but then things just keep popping up that I'm like, I don't know if I want to invest that much money in a silhouette right now. The big thing is I don't know where to put a silhouette in our current setup. I feel like I've talked about this before. I'm getting deja vu, but my husband and I split an office. We're lucky to even have a second bedroom, honestly, that we can use as an office. And yeah, so in that case, it's like I obviously have to leave space for his desk and his shelves and things. Yeah, I feel like I'm taking up a lot of the office with a bookshelf anyway, so yeah. But yeah, what happened this week? I was still teaching. Evie was shedding a lot. My older cat, she's like a medium to long hair cat, so when it gets warm, all her fur just goes off her body. And then the papal conclave, excuse me. I always end up having to cough when I do a voiceover. I don't know why, because I'm not sick and I'm not having like severe allergies anymore, but when I talk for a while, I have to cough. It's stupid. But yeah, it was the papal conclave this week. So we got our first American Pope. She was an American Pope. I was going to try to sing that Nobody needs that though. So yeah, when I found out, I was watching the live stream on the Thursday morning. When I found out from my husband, who was like reading on Reddit, because I guess people found it out through like print media before they actually announced it live, which is wild. He was like, "Oh, it's an American," and I got kind of nervous because I'm like, the Americans who I heard were in the running for Pope don't seem like very in line with what I think we should be doing. So, but it seems like the new Pope is kind of like going to continue some of the work of Pope Francis, so that gives me a little bit of hope. If you want my whole thoughts on the Catholic Church, if you missed those, you can go back a couple of Plan With Me's. I talked about them the week that Pope Francis died. Stand by all of what I said there. The only thing I would add that, we didn't have time to get into in that Plan With Me was obviously there's some really glaring issues besides misogyny. Big one with kids. Anybody? Yeah, that's the big one for me. And the hypocrisy around that and the cover up around that. And like a couple years ago, Catholics in California were up in arms about like drag queens who imitate nuns and do charitable work, by the way, being honored. And I'm just like, you're really going to protest these people because you think they're dangerous for children when this is an institution that has covered up crimes against children. That's a big sticking point for me. That's not okay. It's simply wrong. Like, you should be able to agree that that's wrong. So, yeah. Do I think believing in spirituality or believing in a higher power is wrong? Absolutely not, because I believe in that. I just think the institutions that be, some of them, need to do better. So there's that. Also, LGBTQ rights, that's a big one for me as well. I think people should mind their own business. So happy end of Pride Month. It's July now, but we should continue these conversations. Moving on, sorry for going on a rant. We don't have time for that. We're already halfway through the video. The habit tracker this week is for flossing. The weekly checklist, as always, is for dinners. And then I put in a Plan Ahead icon to mark EV shedding everywhere. And then I put in a I blank matter script from Plan Ahead just to kind of keep the focus, even in this busy time of the year, on me. Because I deserve to be able to celebrate my birthday. So then the first thing I marked on Monday was not Cinco de Mayo because my husband is Mexican but does not celebrate Cinco de Mayo, fun fact. But I did mark that it had been 10 years since my first dog passed away. And then it was really windy and there was pollen everywhere this day. So I marked that with Molly Has Allergies from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. Then I used a Sweet Ava's Paper chalkboard sticker to mark that I went to work and taught my classes. And then I popped a Claritin this evening and felt so much better in the evening. So that is a little freebie sticker from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. That was for the May Flower of the Month freebie. So I thought that was fun to mark, yay, I conquered the allergies today. And then I watched a lot of Bones this week. So I have a crime scene Molly from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. and the binge watch script is from The Kit. Tuesday, first thing I marked was doing yoga, so I'm going to use a Sweet Ava's Paper sticker for that. Then I got right into grading, that is also from Sweet Ava's Paper, and so are the next two stickers that I'm going to use as well. So I voiced over a Plan With Me. And then Tasting History, which is a YouTube channel, great work. He does great videos. Did a video about conclave and about apparently in the medieval times they made baby back ribs sometimes. So that caught my attention. I'm like, it's the eve of conclave. 'Twas the night before conclave. And all through the house, Jessica was learning about baby back ribs and conclave. So it's a good watch. It also explains a lot of things about conclave that I didn't even know. And I thought I knew the whole thing. So it was a good watch. And then I watched more Bones. Wednesday, the first thing I marked was that this was the day that the conclave started, so I marked that with a little church sticker from Plana Hannah. It started at 1 a.m. Pacific time, but I believe it was 10 a.m. in Rome. And then I went to work again, of course. I also finished up my last lesson plan for the semester this day because the next week would be the last week of classes. So that laptop is also from Sweet Ava's Paper. And then I graded more, and then I watched Everybody's Live on Netflix. And then I watched more Bones. And then Thursday, I woke up and I learned that as I was sleeping, because again, the conclave started at 1 a.m. my time. That was a whole day in Rome, so it was evening time in Rome at this point. I had learned that we were going to have a new pope, so that was kind of exciting, even if I'm not super excited about the institution. It's still noteworthy, and it's still part of my heritage and the core of my belief system, I guess. So the first thing I marked, though, was that my husband was working from home. I mailed my mom a Mother's Day card. Does my mom live half an hour away from me? Yes. Did I still drop the card in the mail just so I wouldn't forget to give it to her? Yes. Is it also because I like getting things in the mail and I like using postage stamps a lot? Yes. If you want to be pen pals, even if we talk all the time on like Instagram or something, DM me. I love sending and receiving mail. It's amazing. Anyway, I marked that with a little envelope from Planet Hannah, and then I marked that Leo the 14th was announced. I watched the live stream, and I had it going while my husband was working. I was sitting at my desk so he could see it too. So I had this really cute Pope sticker from Wonton and a Million from the Italy part of a travel sticker book. So I was like, when else am I going to use this? We've had what, 3 different popes in my lifetime? It was John Paul II when I was born, and then he died when I was like 12 or something, and then we had Benedict, and then he retired or whatever. I still don't really know what happened with that, but that's fine with me. And then we had Pope Francis. No, we're on Pope number 4 for my lifetime, and am I old? Am I not old? I don't know. Then I did some more grading. I did unfortunately have a headache this day. I worked out to try and like stretch some things out and relieve the headache. I think it halfway worked. Watched more Bones, and then this was the evening that Evie alerted us that there was a roach in the house, which was gross, but also I live next door to an apartment complex that I'm not always confident people keep their apartments that clean. So I think that's where that came from. She likes to adopt the beetles. Both my cats, like when it comes to beetles, for some reason, they don't automatically kill it. They're kind of like, can I keep it as a pet? And we're like, no. And they're like, oh. So we took care of that. Friday, my husband worked from home again. It was payday for me. And then I just had various like forms and applications and things for future semesters that I had to fill out. So I used a Sweet It Was Paper folder sticker for that. I graded a whole bunch of essays this day because I'm like, these need to get done because I'm going out of town next week after class. Then I did laundry, so that's from Beneva Creations, and then I finished season 10 of Bones this night. So then I took a bit of a break for like a week or two from Bones because I had 2 seasons left and I didn't want to like rush through them. So I took a bit of a break, but I did finish season 10 this day. Beginning of Saturday, I had to go shopping again because I hadn't figured out my youngest sister's graduation gift yet, and I wanted to get that squared away before the next week where I was finishing up class and we were going out of town. So we went to a local shop. You can actually check out their website if you want. She sells some stuff online. It's called Golden Hour Designs in Sacramento. And I marked that with little bunny bear plans, like gift sticker. We also went to the nursery. I think we got tomato cages this day. I'm pretty sure because our tomato plants were starting to get a little bit out of control. So I have this adorable Sweet It Was Paper little calico and a plant pot sticker. And then my ThredUp order that I had ordered the week before showed up this day, so I tried everything on. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw a bunch of photos over there. I loved everything. It's going to be like a 100% cotton dress summer for me. It's going to be lovely. Then I put on some new nails, so that's from Carly Plans. I did my hair and makeup, so that's from Linner Designs, because we were going out to dinner for my birthday. So as far as makeup goes, I did like a whole face of makeup, and I even curled my hair, which I like hot rollers for my hair because my hair does not like to hold a curl. That usually holds the curl a little bit better. And then we went to a local restaurant called Hawks for my birthday, so I marked that with a Cinderella Paper meal sticker. We got these really nice deviled eggs. I got the salmon, which was like cooked medium rare, which is the first time I'd had fish medium rare, but it was much better that way, and it was really nice quality salmon. We got some cute little drinks, and then we even got dessert because I was feeling dessert, and I got this strawberry shortcake that had like olive oil and basil, and it was probably the best dessert I've ever had in my life, especially from a restaurant, because there's a lot of times with restaurants where I don't really like dessert there because it's not very good. This was amazing, so that was very much worth it for my birthday. And then I used a little Bunny Bear Plans game controller to mark that I was watching some episodes of Conan on HBO as well as Game Grumps on YouTube. Sunday was Mother's Day, so those balloons are from Bunny Bear Plans. Unfortunately, I was up from like 3 to 6 a.m. for no reason. I was just anxious, I guess. We did go to Target because then we went to our friend's house for a barbecue. And then I marked calling my mom and my sister in law and motherly figures like that for Mother's Day. And then I started watching The Residence on Netflix. So we'll talk more about that next week. And then we just had a nice talk over dinner. So that is everything for this week. I hope you enjoyed hearing about it. Thanks for listening to me rant and rave as always. My DMs are always open if you want to go into any of these topics in a little bit more detail. And I hope you have a good week. Bye.